evening to all our viewers from wherever you are watching us from. Welcome to Law Matters, the show that will always put into context all legal concepts in order to address your views and reviews and to provide answers to your questions. Now, this episode takes a journey to the most recent Devolution conference that was held at Homa Bay County. This was, if I'm not wrong, the 8th or 9th Devolution conference that was held in order to take a keen study on where we are in terms of implementation of this new system of governance. And it is in that backdrop that tonight we take our journey into the discussion of what the Constitution provides in terms of devolution, the legislative framework around the concept of devolution, and where we are and the future in terms of implementation of this concept. In our studios tonight, we have a devolution expert, a constitutional law expert, as well as an environmental law expert. My name is Elvin Onsongo. I am your host, and before we take our keen delve into this topic, I will allow my guest to introduce himself. Welcome.
Thank you, Onsongo, and thank you for inviting me for this particular show. My name is Gibson Gisore, an advocate of the High Court of Kenya and a lecturer of law. I also specialize in environmental law and devolution issues and the Constitution at large. And I practice under the firm of Karanja and Gisore as a partner. And of course, I'm glad to be here.
Thank you, Mr. Gibson, for being in our studios tonight and to give proper voice into what devolution is all about. Now, without much further ado, you can take us through the introduction part of it and tell us exactly what do we mean by devolution and kindly put it into context.
Thank you so much, Onsongo. I think your question
Are you an aspiring media practitioner, a graduate, or you just want to advance your skills in television production? Then welcome to Kenyatta University, where education meets innovation. KUTV, the premier university television station in Kenya, is now offering short courses in TV studio, field technical operations, and video editing. Through these courses, you will acquire hands-on skills on camera operations, media production, lighting techniques, audiovisual editing, and sound and visual control, and how to operate key equipment in modern TV.
Economy of Kenya, the Western Cape, where it is headquartered at Cape Town. So that shows that in other places, the devolution is actually working and is actually working very well. So Nigeria has a system of states which is mirrored.
kutafuta kazi, tunaweza kuanzisha miradi yetu ambayo ingetusaidia kubadilisha maisha ya wazazi wetu.
Kwa vijana wenzangu, wengi hawana kazi, lakini ikiwa sisi wenyewe tutajiamini, tunaweza kujiajiri wenyewe.
Afrika kwa kweli tuna mahitaji ambayo ukiyasuluhisha unaweza kuathiri watu kwenye bara hili.
Bila woga, watu huwa na uzalishaji zaidi, wanajawa na ujasiri, wanakuwa wabunifu na wanakuwa wenye maarifa.
Niliamua kuacha kazi, hata kama sitafanikiwa, nitakuwa nimejaribu, nitakuwa najua haiwezekani.
Hakuna kitu cha ajabu hapa. Kila anayepata ufanisi hufanya kazi usiku na mchana.
Kitu kitakusukuma na kuwezesha kupata maarifa ambayo
leadership whereby they can be able to have the county assemblies where the resources are subdivided and they decide which resource goes where, and these resources go to where they are needed most, and most importantly they are the resources are managed or manned by the people who have been elected by these people and people who come from their locality. Essentially, you cannot be a governor in Mandera if you're not from Mandera. So those are some of the things which us as a people, we decided in the 2010 constitution. And the other things could be, of course, to embrace some of the elements which are critical to the local people, like services like agriculture. You know, that is fully devolved, and of course medical aid, whereby the hospitals, the small clinics are all run by the county, so that you don't look for services in Nairobi, or you don't complain all the way up to Nairobi from some village in Turkana, so that you can get medicines in your hospital. The only place you need to move is to your county headquarters and ask what is happening. We don't have medicine in this place.
Thank you, Mr. Gibson.
Yes.
We will get into that as we proceed with our tonight's discussion. We will look at some of the devolved functions or some of the devolved duties to our sub-national units. Now, you've opened our eyes in terms of informing us that even pre the 2010 constitution, we had a technical devolution, and you've referred to what we have right now as current devolution.
Yes.
And the Constitution 2010, among very key aspects, provides for example, Article 1 is the sovereignty of the people. There is the supremacy of the Constitution, and also very key is public participation. And I think these are some of the aspects that the current, as you call it, the current devolution has come about to cement in the newly looking changed system of governance. Now, take us through in terms of marrying the current devolution and those three key aspects of the Constitution that I have mentioned.
Of course, those three elements of the Constitution rein in big in terms of exercise of devolution. From time to time, we have been able to see the aspect of governors being impeached. I think right now the most current case is the Kericho one, where Governor Mutai is, I think, was already impeached. We are waiting that for the second time, the case to come to the National Assembly. So that is an aspect of the people exercising their power or authority through the MCAs in terms of how governance is applied in their locality, that is in the county. So that in itself could not have happened previously. Even previously, the kind of structures we had councillors. You could not impeach a councillor because councillors were lords unto themselves. There was nowhere once somebody is elected to get them off office. So that aspect in itself, where you can be able to put people accountable through a process which is outlined in the Constitution, is an eye-opener, and it's a new concept which our people have really embraced. You can see what has happened in Meru, whereby the governor was removed and power really transitioned to the deputy governor. We have also seen that happen in the case of death, where a governor dies in office. Nyeri has had such scenario, and We have since seen a power transition to some. So these are some of the new elements which we are looking at in terms of devolution or leadership or governance, which our people need to wrap our heads around. The other concept is the concept of public participation is one which I think has not been practiced fully. Yes. And this is what I will want to highlight is the aspect of resource sharing.
And it is also a key principle of governance under
yes,
Article 10.
Yes, yeah. Resource sharing whereby the money comes to the county assembly, to the county, and then the county assembly is supposed to prepare a budget and pass it. But before that happens, public participation must be able to happen in every ward. So that aspect is what we have not seen, and I would urge our viewers, if you don't know how much has been allocated towards your Medicare in your county, if you do not know how much has been allocated towards education in your county, towards roads in your county, then you are failing devolution. Those are things which they should be able to do barazas, local barazas, whereby people can be able to be sensitized fast, be brought up to speed, understand what a budget is. For the national one, we have done a great deal of sensitization, whereby you can see in the last year you saw what happened. People were against some serious clauses, and they had even to have the budget shelved by the presidency, and even the president refused to sign. So that is the kind of power we need to see to the ground so that we can embrace devolution. When a governor comes and tells you that we do not have money, we essentially need to know, how come you don't have the money? What does our budget read? How much do we collect as a county? We've seen some counties brag themselves that they've been able to raise in their local revenues to some tune of some percentage. But do we see that also coming back to do the services, or is just collecting?
And before perhaps a governor comes to tell the people that, for example, we do not have sufficient funds or revenue to run county operations or functions, among the key aspects of devolution again is accountable leadership. Now, how are our leaders at the grassroots level, for example, in the county governments, being accountable to whatever operations they're carrying on behalf of the citizenry?
Yes, that's actually what I was going to, and I was trying to expound. This accountability starts from the Constitution. It's an element or a tenet, as we have said earlier, which has been put in the Constitution, that the people must be able to know first. You can't ask for accountability if you don't know what you're asking about. Yes. So there's need for the county assemblies to do public participation on coming up with the budgets. When they're coming up with the budgets, once the budgets have been passed and everybody knows what has been allocated to their ward, then it's the responsibility of their MCA to ensure that that money actually gets there. When it comes to a point that the governor or the county leadership tells you that we do not have funds to do a road, then the question comes in, why do you not have funds? Where did the funds go? Were they reallocated elsewhere? Did they not come? Is it the national government holding the money? And at what point is the national government going to release this money? Of course, the point person here becomes now the MCA and the senator. If it's the national government issue, it's the senator to push and the governor. Once that money is, because the governors have also their two elements. The county office of the county is the county governors. This one in Westlands, the one which the caucus for leadership for governors. Yes, there is that one which they used to push for resources, and then there is also the arm which is headed by the deputy president for the division, where they sit and discuss which money goes to the counties. Then now there is also another arm which is the senators who have the Senate, which really focuses on safeguarding devolution. So those are the various parameters. So when it comes to the county, through the local mwananchi, through the MCA. When it comes to the national government, it comes to the Senate. When it comes to the independent governors push, it's the Council of Governors. That's what I was looking for, the Council of Governors.
Yes.
So those are various levels of accounting which should be able to bring to the fore what the problem is. What we have not seen, and what I was highlighting just before I close on that point, is that the local mwananchi has not been sensitized. So the only story they hear, we do not have money. Where there is no money, Senator doesn't say. When money has come in, nobody says. So this is the gray area where there leads to corruption, whereby monies are eventually lost. So most of the reasons why governors are impeached are very abstract reasons, but you ask the local mwananchi, they will just tell you the MCA said he has eaten money. But which money did he eat? We need to be very specific and clear. Did he eat the medical money? Did he eat the roads money? And how much was this? So we need to be very specific so that mwananchi knows the person they went and voted for has eaten money for a clinic. So he should be impeached. Not very abstract one. So we need to have devolution go to the ground in terms of public participation and accountability. If we can be able to embrace that, then it becomes very clear as opposed to what we have now.
Thank you, Wakili Gisore, for that proper insight, telling us that among the key things devolution demands for is accountability, and that there is need now for sensitization and civic education for mwananchi to understand the operations of the county government. Just as a reminder, to remind our viewers, continue following us. We are live on YouTube at KUTV Kenya. We're also live on Twitter, now X, at KUTV_Kenya, and we're live on Instagram at KUTV Kenya. Do not forget to send in your questions and your views concerning our tonight's episode. And the directors inform me that we should take a short commercial break, and we shall see you on that other side after that right short break.
Badala ya kutafuta kazi, tunaweza kuanzisha miradi yetu ambayo ingetusaidia kubadilisha maisha ya wazazi wetu.
Kwa vijana wenzangu, wengi kweli hawana kazi, lakini ikiwa sisi wenyewe tutajiamini, tunaweza kujiajiri wenyewe.
Afrika kwa kweli tuna mahitaji ambayo ukiyasuluhisha unaweza kuathiri watu kwenye bara hili.
Bila uoga, watu huwa na uzalishaji zaidi, wanajawa na ujasiri, wanakuwa wabunifu na wanakuwa wenye maarifa.
Niliamua kuacha kazi, hata kama sitafanikiwa, nitakuwa nimejaribu, nitakuwa najua haiwezekani.
Hakuna kitu cha ajabu hapa. Kila anayepata ufanisi hufanya kazi usiku na mchana.
Kitu kitakusukuma na kuwezesha kupata maarifa ambayo hukuwa nayo.
Tunajaribu kutengeneza kitu kitakachopita mipaka ya nchi hii.
Ikiwa unataka kubadilisha ulimwengu, anza na nyumbani.
Welcome back to Law Matters, a show that will always put into context all legal concepts in order to address your views and reviews and provide adequate and candid answers to all your questions. In our set tonight, we still have our devolution expert, Wakil Gibson Gisore, who is taking us through the concept of devolution, its constitutional anchoring, and how important it has been in terms of bringing changes in our system of governance. Wakili, let us proceed. And so tell us now, among the key reasons why we had to introduce this novel new concept of governance, devolution, besides accountability and perhaps promoting development, socio-economic development in all our devolved units, what are the other reasons perhaps why we had to introduce this new concept into our constitution?
Devolution and democracy are things which go hand in hand, but not totally. In every developed country, if you look at the world, around the world, you will actually find that they practice some sort of some sort of devolution. As it was, or as I raised it earlier, much as we scrapped off Majimbo, we still went on into some soft set of devolution. We are still enjoying a unitary government, but then there was some set of devolution and some level of decision making from the grassroots. This happened in the concept of the district focus groups or district development groups, which were based in every district, whereby the people, some government departmental heads could actually sit and decide on. And there was some element of public participation where the leadership could be able to meet and then be able to decide that we need a road here, we need a clinic here, we need what sort of whatever it is. A bridge has broken down, so that the money now comes from the national government down to sort that particular issue. But that in itself, especially when we were enjoying one-party state, proved to be cumbersome, and some regions suffered, especially those ones which were not politically correct, or their leadership seemed to be tilting towards a leftist agenda. So that development was now tilted to those places which you are thinking right, those places which were considered to have the leadership, their leadership in the high echelons of leadership of the country. So the division of revenue was actually skewed in terms of those parameters. So when the drafters of the constitution sat down, they wanted to cure that and be able to have a uniform country where devolution could actually happen without the influence of who is in control at the State House and who is in control at whatever level, at the Treasury, and who is in control at the whichever side of leadership. Either way, that devolution came in to cure such anomalies. So that is the major reason why we ended up having devolution, where resources could be devolved, and some of the key functions, especially those ones which affected the local mwananchi, could be able, so that whichever political leanings or whichever structure of government we have, still national resources could be able to be distributed across the country equally. That's where under the constitution we have the marginalized places have some grants from the national government to be able to uplift them. They actually get more money than the other well-to-do counties, so that they can be able to put in the infrastructure which they lacked. They can be able to uplift their people with the schools they didn't have. They can be able to build more schools. They can be able to even have electricity, water, and the like, so that the services are brought closer to mwananchi. That is the whole concept of devolution, that services should be able to be taken to each and every Kenyan, regardless of where they come from, provided they are within the ecosystem of Kenya, they should be able to benefit. So that is the whole concept of devolution, without national government being involved. And the only involvement is to ensure that these resources are dispersed to the local counties, which then now can be able to prioritize and expend these monies in the right places. So essentially, that is what we are looking at when we were thinking of having devolution as a country.
Thank you, Mr. Gisori. What you've said, what I pick from you as paramount is it came about to cure anomalies and strike balance, especially in terms of resource distribution to all the devolved units. Now, let us take our eye to the just concluded devolution conference that was held in Homa Bay County. That was on the 12th to 15th of August, that is this month. The theme of that conference was devolution as being a concept for the people and for prosperity, and as a catalyst for equity, inclusiveness, and social justice. Kindly take us through what you think about that theme.
It's a very interesting theme, and I think whoever came up with the theme really had a global mind, if I can be able to put it. Where do I say global mind? When you talk about equity, you can talk about social justice, and then inclusiveness. Yeah. You are basically talking about devolution and development. And this development you're talking about is one which is sustainable.
Yes, actually, as you get into that as well, we should not forget about the sub-theme was about devolution, re-engineering our county governments in order to accelerate socio-economic development in those units. Now talk about that as a wholesome.
Yes. Yeah. So when you're talking about that from a legal perspective, you're talking about governance. You're talking about justice, which is a very strong key objective of the Constitution. That if we are talking about socio-economic justice or development, whichever way you want to put it, then we are talking about what are the governance structures. Under devolution, we anticipate that devolution should be able to work single-handedly. This now drives us to the challenges. The challenges we have, given that Constitution allows devolution, what are some of these challenges which we have faced towards hindering the development or the growth of devolution in the country of Kenya? Some of the challenges we face are disbursement of resources, capacity of the governors or the people who have been put in place, quality of MCAs put in office, and then the greed itself, and then the aspect of unaccountable leadership. If all these things were supposed to be sorted, then we could be having a smooth running devolution, which nobody would be able to complain. If you look at the kind of money which has gone into devolution, let's talk of every year. That is serious money. Do you imagine if that money we didn't have devolution and all that money was going to development or was subdivided among the ministries? They could have done significant work across the country. Yes. So, of course, the aspect of equity could come in place, but then wherever this money could have gone could change the face of Kenya. And this is what we are talking about. Much as the concept of us having too many devolution units has been something which has been raised, then we should also not lose the picture that whichever monies which is expended, how has it benefited our people? That is the question, because that's now the nitty-gritties of what we need to look at. If County X has received amount, I think my own county has been able to receive over and above, I think, for how many years devolution has been there? Is it 13?
Since 2010, it's about almost 15 years now.
Almost 15 years.
Yes.
You're talking of almost 15 years, and maybe they started off receiving at, let's give it an average of 5 billion. 5 billion times 15 comes to how much money?
It's a lot.
Serious money, which you could have seen if it's something which was started, you could have seen a lot done. But now you cannot be able to account for these monies. So that is what we are talking about. If we can be able to bring accountability to all governance structures in the country, and the key issue is what we have talked about, whereby you find that our people are not have not been civilized to a level of understanding how to hold the county structure accountable, so they don't know. So they rely on the MCAs. You find that the MCA was a class 8 dropout, went to driving because it's or finished Form 4 and then went to driving. Not that we are saying that those people are unable, but we need to have some semblance of somebody understanding the accounting structures.
I think it's the highest time perhaps we introduce a criteria or standards to be met by a candidate who is vying, for example, for an MCA position, so that we bring on board understanding and informed minds in terms of governance, as you buttress your point.
Yes, I fully agree that we need to have some basic level of education which we need to have, because we need to develop, and you cannot develop with people whose mindset is, or a capacity to understand some critical elements is seriously hampered. Somebody could be a good leader, but their capacity could be hampered.
Yes.
So that's what we are talking about. If we have people who have the right credentials, not that we are saying that these people who have PhDs or who have gone to college or universities are the best leaders, because leadership is not about papers. It's really about the leadership quality somebody has. But if somebody has papers, then the only challenge we will understand, either he doesn't have the leadership qualities, hence we should not be able to elect them, or is totally a greedy person or just a person who is incompetent, because you can have papers and be incompetent. So papers cannot be the only panacea to leadership. We need to look at a lot of things, among them being the capability of somebody and their track record. So if you elect somebody whose whole life has been in the village, he's just only popular. Maybe he was hosting some village tournament. That cannot be a ground for managing of 5 billion every for the leadership. So we need to have some set of kind of basic norms of what we need to have for, or what we need to look for in leaders. That is one. Number two is the aspect of accountability. When we have the auditors, the Auditor General's reports, which are indeed supplied to Parliament, we never see any kind of accountability. It starts and ends there. All we hear is just a mention, oh, money was lost, or this did not supply the receipts. Then they show up in the Senate and defend themselves. They say, you didn't ask for them, we will bring them next week. And that ends there. We never get to know whether the receipts were supplied or what really happened. So we deal with corruption or mismanagement of resources in a very lax way, and this gives rise to, encourages corruption. If we can be able to see the Anti-Corruption Commission moving in swiftly and actually pushing that these governors be put out of office because of mismanagement of resources, and we can have county assemblies who have the capacity and have the goodwill to help wananchi, then we could be able to have the best set of leadership. The other challenge which has been bedeviling the realization of the objectives of devolution is one whereby the budgetary deficits, where we over-rely on disbursement from national government, which is also facing a lot of challenges in terms of raising those resources. And you find that sometimes the money comes in very late in the day, where you cannot be able to budget and work for it. So giving rise to a lot of pending bills, giving rise to a lot of services not being rendered to Mwananchi, and the county workers, essentially the easiest way to get bankrupt, as one of my friends told me, is to do business with the county or to be employed by the county, because your salary will not come or you will not be paid for the services. So if we can be able to cure some of these issues, then we could actually have devolution which works for everyone.
Mr. Gisore, do we have a bloating problem? Because now, when we talk about Majimbo devolution vis-a-vis, or when we compare it to the modern devolution, the Majimbo devolution was centrally centered around provinces, which were about 8 of them. And right now, we're talking about 47 autonomous county governments, yes. Now, is this number bringing about or enhancing decentralized corruption? Is this number of autonomous county governments bringing about the problem of accountability? From where you sit, what do you think is the problem?
First of all, I think the WACO draft, the 205 one, which was put down by the yes and no, had a very interesting concept. I think I was still in school, but I was very keen to follow it. It was advising that we have 12 regions.
Regions, yes.
And I thought that's the best thing, because we had 8, we just had to add 4 more. So that, for example, the Rift Valley, which was so huge, could be subdivided into 2 or 3. The coast, which was also so huge, to be subdivided into some more. Of course, other places like Tamburu and the likes could be able to, so that people, because we really access to services.
Yes.
So if we prioritize that, we could have economically viable regions. You see now, even with the county governments themselves have realized that they cannot be able to succeed without collaborating together. So they have formed some regional kind of caucus groups. We have the Lake Victoria region economic bloc, we have another one which is I think we have another one from Central, we have another one from the coast, then we have another one from the northeastern counties. So still that concept is being recreated so that we can create economic viability. Because when we're talking about economic viability, because we cannot talk of every county having an airport, for example, because you don't need it. It cannot be able to serve the people.
May not be sustainable.
It might not be sustainable.
Yes.
We might not also talk about every county having a university as we are trying to put it. So we need to look at some of those concepts. You cannot, of course, we need to have every county have a level 5 or 6 hospital, but then we need a regional referral center that can only be put at some regional headquarters. So those are some of the things which, if we look at, we can be able to embrace and be able to make these economic needs to be very viable without even touching the counties, because the counties can still remain centers of disbursement of resources. But when we are talking about macro scale, we can be able to, I'm not the best person to advise on this, but that is just my perspective, and based on what previously the WACO draft and other constitutional documents were talking about, and I thought that could have been the very best decision to approach this so that we can be able to cure some of the challenges we face, especially because there are some regions, for example, enjoy some common infrastructure. For example, if your region is really purely livestock keeping, why don't you just embrace this and you combine your resources so that you can have common animal husbandry services?
Thank you, Mr. Gisore, and thank you for cutting you short. I will proceed from there.
Yes.
Now, the next discussion should take us to, I believe, Article 174 and 175 of the Constitution to talk about the objectives and the principles of devolution. But that is right after our next break, which is the second break. And just to remind you, our viewers, do not forget to continue interacting with us and sending in your questions and your views live. We are live on YouTube at KUTV Kenya, on Instagram at KUTV Kenya, and on Twitter at KUTV_Kenya. We are taking a second break. See you right after this.
Are you an aspiring media practitioner, a graduate, or you just want to advance your skills in television production? Then welcome to Kenyatta University, where education meets innovation. KUTV, the premier university television station in Kenya, is now offering short courses in TV studio, field technical operations, and video editing. Through these courses, you will acquire hands-on skills on camera operations, media production, lighting techniques, audio-visual editing, and sound and visual control, and how to operate key equipment in modern TV control room. Enroll today at KUTV and discover your full potential in cutting-edge TV broadcasting. Graduates of these courses will receive professional certificates. For more information, visit our offices at KUTV Studios or call us on 020-870-4252 or 020-870-4255 or SMS us on 0739-110-544. KUTV, a new experience.
Baada ya kutafuta kazi, tunaweza kuanzisha miradi yetu ambayo ingetusaidia kubadilisha maisha ya wazazi wetu.
Kwa vijana wenzangu, wengi hawana kazi, lakini ikiwa sisi wenyewe tutajiamini, tunaweza kujiajiri wenyewe.
Afrika kwa kweli tuna mahitaji ambayo ukiyasuluhisha unaweza kuathiri watu kwenye bara hili.
Bila woga, watu huwa na uzalishaji zaidi, wanajawa na ujasiri, wanakuwa wabunifu na wanakuwa wenye maarifa.
Niliamua kuacha kazi. Hata kama sitafanikiwa, nitakuwa nimejaribu, nitakuwa najua haiwezekani.
Hakuna kitu cha ajabu hapa. Kila anayepata ufanisi hufanya kazi usiku na mchana.
Kitu kitakusukuma na kuwezesha kupata maarifa ambayo hukuwa nayo.
Tunajaribu kutengeneza kitu kitakachopita mipaka nchi hii.
Ikiwa unataka kubadilisha ulimwengu, anza na nyumbani.
Welcome back, our viewers, to the third and last segment of this episode of Law Matters, the program that will always put into context all these legal concepts to answer to your candid questions. With us still we have Wakili Gibson Gisore, who's giving proper voice and language to what devolution is, and now he takes us through the journey of the objectives of devolution as provided for under the Constitution, most importantly Article 174 of the Constitution. Now, Wakili, among the very key objectives provided for under the Constitution in terms of devolution is that this concept came about to promote democracy and accountable exercise of powers by those people who are democratically elected by the citizens. Now, put this into context and tell us, as a nation, where are we in terms of democracy and accountable exercise of the powers?
Thank you. As a nation, I can say we have taken on devolution very well, and all we can do is to strengthen it. We have some threats which are coming in, and those threats should be keenly be looked at. And if we go by, I think the recent devolution conference in Homa Bay, we were able to see the president himself acknowledge that indeed there are some roles or responsibilities which were supposed to be handed down to the counties which have not been handed, and he handed 15 of those. Do you imagine up to now? 15 years post-devolution, we are still having, the national government was holding on to 15 of the functions. And we have had the Council of Governors talk about even the monies which is going to MPs. We have been having the fight between the MPs and MPs and the Council of Governors, yes, that NGCDF should actually be devolution money, which even Raila mentioned, I think yesterday when they were talking about, when they had the joint UDA and Kenya Kwanza meeting. So it means
and
we are alive to some of the issues.
What do you think? Should it be a devolution money, and should the control thereof be taken away from perhaps the members of parliament and be placed with the governors? What do you think? In terms
yes, that has always been my stand, that indeed National Assembly is for accountability, and you cannot be able to allocate resources and then you leave the seat of allocation, you jump to the ground, you wait for the resources you have allocated to yourself, and then you expend them. That is quite interesting. And then you come back to account for it. How now? That is a very interesting joke we have been playing on ourselves. But the concept of NGCDF is something which is at the center of the Kenyan hearts. And if you actually run across the country, the major reason as to why NGCDF still stands or Kenyans still embrace it is that it's the nearest thing they have seen to government money coming to them, close to them. Even with the devolution, still I can say NGCDF ranks highly as opposed to devolution. So the question is, if this money is actually given to the county governors, will it follow the same trend whereby still money comes and you don't see much being done with it? So then we will need to strengthen the levels of accountability, the levels of deciding where this money goes. But nonetheless, it will, once it comes to the counties, we expect that the county should be more liquid. Therefore, they should be more accountable for the monies they have received. And then I expect the national government MPs, that is the National Assembly, to be strong in terms of demanding accountabilities for the monies which has been
dispensed to the counties.
Dispersed to the counties. And maybe it's just something we are trying. We need to try and see where it takes us. Because under the principles of accountability, what we have as NGCDF cannot be talked of as an accountable process. As an accountable process of leadership.
And this discussion, Wakili, is coming in the backdrop of what we've had recently. The President and Right Honorable ex-Prime Minister Raila Odinga, we've had them say that our parliament now is a house of corruption. We've had them say that some members of some committees have been demanding for monies in order to do some functions or to do some duties. Now, are these the same people that we are relying on to give us proper accountability on CDF funds.
Exactly. That is what is bedefiling in Kenya. Our parliament has since been able to be considered one of the most corrupt houses. So once we can be able to remove the resources from them, we have the resources to the county assemblies, then we increase surveillance of these resources, then we can be able to have better avenues. Other than the NGCDF, there is also the monies for road development.
Yes.
The road development money, a portion of it, especially the one for Kura and the one for Kera, Kera and Kura actually should be scrapped, and those monies be given to the county assembly, to the county governments for them to go to the wards to actually do development for roads. Do you imagine once all those billions are dispersed, then we will be able to see mushrooming roads in the local areas, and then we'll have better accessibility and better service delivery to Mwananchi, which in essence will be able to grow our country and will be able to ensure that our people access better services at the localities, as opposed to what we have now. They are all being run from a central kit in the national government, which even actually is the National Assembly which expends monies to this. So that is an aspect of devolution which is being impeded. And if we can be able to have that opened up, then we can be able to see development across the country. So these are some of the things which we say are bedeviling this devolution and are ensuring that the devolution does not work optimally as it ought to be. But then my only worry, once we succeed with this, we shouldn't be able to have the face of the counties in terms of accountability as it is right now, because we'll be losing a lot of money. We need to see better accountability. We need to see the National Assembly rise up to the occasion and demand that all these monies which are expended, we need to see the Senate to be actually at the forefront in terms of ensuring that all these monies are accounted for. The problem with the accounting structure of this not being technical from a legal perspective is that the accounting program for monies which have been devolved is a very slow moving tool. You realize, when did Waititu leave office? Several years ago. It's now is being held to account for his mistakes. Yes. So that clearly puts the problem where it is, that we need to actually have today's crimes to be accounted for today. But those reports have to wait a year, and then they are presented to the National Assembly. Those reports are voluminous. If you have seen county governors being brought to account, even the senators themselves walk in with a very big bundle. Some of these senators might not have the capacity. Then they do not have the resources. They do not have resources to actually, like the MPs have the mileage to go and inspect some of these projects. Besides, you find that sitting senator right now will not have the opportunity to account for the projects which are actually happening right now. It will be the next senator who could be a different person, who is not even aware, who is very green.
Dangerous. That's quite dangerous.
That's very dangerous.
Yes.
So that provides a gray area for corruption. Nonetheless, the reports are there, they are brought, but they are brought to people who are green and who are tired already, who are not well funded to actually seek this accountability as it should be. And we have EACC, which should be moving with speed, which is clearly underfunded, or which can be compromised in areas of sorts, because even their reports might take so long. So, when there's no clear mechanism which meets the problem at the right source, then challenges. How do you go asking for a road, a Maram road, which was supposed to be done 7 years ago? You tell them it not do the road. You see, I mean, it's illogical legally as to provide evidence to such, because that road might have been done 7 more times from the time you are seeking this accountability. So that becomes a problem.
That's very true. Actually, I think we experienced that during the most recent court trial of the deputy IG, when we saw the DCI being investigated by the IPOA, and then vice versa, and then the DCI investigating IPOA. So those mixed roles actually bring about problems in terms of implementing devolution. Now, we talked about devolution enhancing accountability, which you have addressed adequately, and now we move into democracy. Now, democracy, as we understand, is a people-centered governance system, and it's a system that promotes observance and obedience to our laws, and most importantly, to court orders. Now, how has devolution in Kenya enhanced democracy, and where are we at in terms of realizing full democracy?
That's a very good question. And if I look at it, I will look at it in two aspects. Devolution has really improved democracy because, in a sense, we have now very remote areas of this country are able to now understand what the national government looks like. There are some places in this country when you used to go, they ask you, how is Kenya? Because they did not consider themselves part of Kenya. But now they have one of their own within a walking distance place where they can actually be able to go and seek services. And that is quite interesting. Where if you are practicing livestock farming, nomadism, you can actually be able to be accessed with the, if the county government does the right thing and employs veterinary services, you can actually be able to walk with you wherever it is you're moving with the animals and vaccinate them. You know, that's quite beautiful. It needed a national government campaign and the choppers all over to actually
and
follow
okay,
people
as you do
through.
That, because we are running out of time,
yes.
You also give us your closing remarks.
Yes. So that in itself, I say, has brought government closer to the people, and that has increased democracy, and people feel part of Kenya because they can see the services which are being provided to them. So other than that, we have seen a devolution, in a sense, improve democracy in that now people understand that government is us. If we don't like the kind of thing we are seeing, we need to put somebody out of office. We have seen a lot of people being kicked out of office, either through elections or through impeachments, and that increases accountability and democracy. So that in itself are some of the things which we can actually say or we can be happy about. And then you have the MCAs whom you know their house. You can walk there and tell them, why is this road bad? You know, that in itself brings in socioeconomic development because you have somebody you can hold accountable. Not as previously you could only have the MP who was based in Nairobi who could decide to show up after 5 years. So that in itself is something we need to be proud of, and we need to seek engagement on a daily basis to ensure that this discussion goes on for us to achieve very much.
And
let me just conclude and say
yes,
that devolution is really a beautiful thing. It's a small baby which we need to nurture. If we don't like the way the baby is behaving, maybe it's the way we are nurturing it. So we need to be actually change the way we are training the baby, change the way we are instructing the baby, change the food we are giving to the baby, or change the kind of instruction system. So if we can be able to look into that, that involves a lot of things, then we can be able to achieve the greater goals of sustainable development and democracy, which we are all looking forward to. Thank you.
Thank you, Wakili Gibson Gisore. Wakili Gibson Gisore telling us that devolution is a very beautiful baby that is learning to walk, and that the only thing we need to do as a government is to give it proper diet. Thank you very much, and he has also taken us through a very keen digest of the devolution conference that was held recently in Homa Bay County that looks into devolution enhancing, catalyzing, and accelerating equity, access to services, and socio-economic development in society. Thank you very much, our viewers, for having been with us throughout this 1 hour of our tonight's episode. And until we see you again next week, same place, same time, continue watching your favorite TV, KUTV. I've been your host, Elvin Onsongo. And until we meet again next week, see you and have a good night.